when we're doing healing at this level, like the level that we do here, we will very much feel that in our body. Yeah? Because that's the area where we're doing most of our clearing, is within the physical body. As we clear space in our physical body, we make room for whatever else is held in our emotional body or our mental body to then come in for healing. Yeah? And I was talking to somebody about this earlier, so it's kind of in my mind to speak it. So it's this thing called window of tolerance, or zone of tolerance. And it describes the sort of area where we feel I can handle stuff. So it's that area where you feel I have good energy, I'm mentally quite clear, I'm emotionally kind of fairly clear. So anything the world throws at me, I have space and ability to be able to handle that. Yeah? And that's how we recognize I'm feeling good, I'm feeling healthy. Yeah? I'm able for my life. If we get a lot of stress, or if we have a trauma that's happened, or maybe even a couple of traumas, that window of tolerance starts to get really, really small. We start to run out of space to be able to deal with things. Yeah? So something seemingly not that big a deal, we can find ourselves getting a bit stressed about it. So it could be as ordinary as you're already feeling a bit stressed and a bit hassled, and you might be driving around and you're looking for a car parking space, and there's no car parking space, and all of a sudden you're just hammering the steering wheel. Yeah. This is where we can recognize that my window of tolerance has just dwindled and I don't have a whole lot left to be able to deal with the world. So we can recognize it by how highly emotional we might be feeling. So it might be anger, highly emotional, it might be sadness or upset, tearful, kind of highly emotional, or anxious. Or we might be feeling the other end of the spectrum, which is quite numb. It's like our body goes into this shutdown, autopilot kind of mode. And we don't really fully know what we're feeling, but we also don't feel able to handle stuff. So it's like we'll be on autopilot and we'll do things like our typical daily routine, like getting up, going to work, or even being in work. We'll do that from a very autopilot kind of way. But if anything out of the ordinary happens, anything just that little bit extra happens and you need to be able to respond to that, you might find that there's just no space, you're just full. Can we recognize that? Mm-hmm. That feeling, yeah. So when we work with mantra, so I know I speak about everything in terms of energy, but it's just a really good way, it's a really good framework for how to describe how mantra works. Because what mantra does is it especially targets negative energy, which is quite dense. Negative energy is the energy that fills us up. So it's our stress or our tiredness or all of that. And mantra in particular zooms in on that. And because it's bringing a high vibration energy into that, it starts to dissolve it. So most people will report to me, sometimes I get text messages from my senior students, and they'll have done maybe, it could be like an hour of meditation, they'll be like, oh, I feel great. Why didn't I do this every day? Because that feeling will be there, that feeling of I have space inside me, that whatever comes up in my day, I feel able to handle that. The more that we do mantra, the more space that we clear. Yeah? So we can build on that feeling. But it will happen in sort of two ways. So one way that we clear space is by healing our stuff that we've got going on inside. So sometimes the early stages of practicing mantra can be, I'm becoming more aware of what's not okay in me. All the different emotions start to come up, especially when you start working with sacral chakra. All these different emotions start to come up, and you're wondering, I was feeling fine before I started doing mantra. Why am I feeling all this now? Yeah, and that's because it's tapping into the numbed out areas. What we've numbed out because we had to just keep powering on through things. Now we're able to give that attention, and as soon as we give it just a little bit of space, it's able to thaw. Mantra gives it that space, but mantra also helps that to thaw, helps that to move. So if you think about this in terms of our ideal state, if such a thing exists, our ideal state is being able to feel all that's going on right now in the present, and we're not being pulled in any other direction. We're not being pulled into future stuff where I'm stressing about, oh my God, this thing I have to do, or what if that doesn't work out? Yeah. Or I'm not stressed or upset about the past stuff. The only thing that's alive in me and that I'm aware of is exactly what's happening now. So that's not the same thing as I'm blocking out past or future. I'm living just for the moment. It's not quite that. It's having that awareness of, I know I have some stuff from my past that I need to deal with, and I'll give that space. And I know I maybe have some stuff in my future to deal with, and I'll give that space. But in my right now, present moment, here's what I'm doing. I don't have to do anything else. So right now you're in a meditation class. You do not have to do anything else except just be here. And let yourself feel exactly what's going on in your body or your mind as you're sitting in this space and sitting in this energy. Nothing else is ever required from us, no matter what we're doing. You might be cooking, you might be on the phone. Nothing else is required of you in that exact moment. So when we give ourselves permission that I only need to focus on exactly what I'm doing right now, and I give all my energy to that, it actually becomes easier. If I think back to how I used to work, it was like I had my file of facts continually open in my mind all the time. I would see all my appointments, I would see everything that I needed to do for the week or maybe even a little bit longer. And it was like it was always switched on. And when I gave myself permission to just not think that far ahead, have a little bit of long-term viewing, but mainly just be like, who are you with right now? Or what do you need to do right now? And not actually do anything else. My energy completely changed. My energy levels changed. I actually began to get a lot more done in one day than when I was trying to do everything at once. But it wasn't just that I was more focused. It was that I was only doing one thing at a time. So rather than being in this space of, I might have been in the middle of something, let's say writing my notes, and the phone might ring, and be like, what do I do? I'm trying to make this choice between what I respond to. And now it's a split-second decision. It's like, will I take the call? Yeah. Take the call, done, it's dealt with. Or, no, I'm just going to finish this, I'll ring them back. And just that split-second decision, I can live with it. I don't have to think about, oh no, what's the really right thing to do? I don't hassle myself in that way anymore. So unless it's happening right now, unless it's happening today, I don't necessarily deal with it today. But I'll give it a space. Yeah. So when we give our mind permission to think in that sort of way, it lets us off the hook with loads of things that we do to ourselves. I don't give out to myself for how I handle that. Yeah. I'm just giving you a tiny example. Yeah. So if I decide something, I will just stick with that feels right. Because that's what we do so much of the time. We hassle ourselves. We have all these different... There's sort of these mixtures of expectations of ourselves. And then there's a mixture of how other people see us. Sometimes we'll feel, if you've got everything really well managed in work, you will look really calm. You are not going to look flying around the place busy out of your mind. True? You're going to look really calm. Everything is totally under control. Everything is totally getting done. And if we work in a work environment that doesn't value that, if it values the headless chicken running around the office who's so busy, but not really getting a whole lot done, we might feel a bit guilty about that. So it's really important that we check our mindset and how we are viewing either the headless chicken person running around the place because they're so busy but not really achieving anything. Or do we value, I'm really calm but I'm absolutely getting everything done. I'm hitting my deadlines, I'm doing whatever. And feel okay in that. Feel very comfortable in that. So it's like how we weigh up how certain things are valued. Stress has a level of value in our working world. From the point of view of we can look very busy. You might look like you're working so hard because you're actually stressed about it. Therefore, you're at your limit. You're working to your limit, and that looks like a good thing from a boss's eyes, or what we will perceive as that. True? But the perception is what we run with. The perception is, how will I be viewed if I look like I'm working to my limit, I'm working at my max. Yeah? So these are really good things to check, just within ourselves, because our inner world and our health pays the price for that. So bringing it back to that window of tolerance idea. When I'm stressed, that gets much smaller. My limits are much smaller also. What I can achieve in a day, what I can tolerate in a day. I think it was Sweden. It was some one of those really advanced Scandinavian countries, right? Who decided that a 6-hour workday was optimum. Anything more than that, actually, we didn't do any more work just because we were in work longer. So 6 hours a day in work was actually plenty, and everybody got everything done that they were meant to do. You didn't have to be in the office for 8 hours or 9 hours or anything like that. Yeah. So this is kind of playing into the same idea. That when we're calm, when we have much more tolerance, we get more done. We're more productive. We actually retain a lot more of our energy. So you have more of your energy left after work to do fun things, like meditation class, whatever. Yeah. So it's good to practice getting a measure of what my window of tolerance actually feels like. What it feels like when I feel I have loads of space. I first noticed this when I would go on holidays. It would take me about at least 1 week to unwind enough before I felt like, okay, now I'm on holidays. And then the next week would be, okay, holidays, I'm on holidays, yeah. And then you go back to work. I started noticing that I would go back to work and I was at a completely different speed. I was at this totally chilled out, practically slow motion kind of speed, but everything was just so calm inside me. I wasn't doing any less work, but I knew that that feeling also wouldn't last. So I would be treasuring my holiday feeling for whatever couple of days or maybe a week or two that it would last before my energy would begin to ramp up, before everything would begin to fill up, my window of tolerance would get smaller, and then I'm back in the high speed stress zone, busy, busy, busy. It's definitely worked out that in practicing mantra and growing my energy in that way, I'm able to do a lot more. But I'm also able to be a lot more calm and steady while I do it. Like you laugh every time you ask me how I am. Is she always well? Yeah? Is that real? Yeah? And 99% of the time, that is true. Even if there's some other meltdown happening somewhere else in my day or in my world, in that moment, it's my choice that I'm very well when I see you. Yeah? So where I park things, like last week I had a disaster with this phone. I dropped it and the SIM card reader broke or whatever. And so I had to take it to get fixed, but I didn't know what exactly was wrong. I didn't know if I had to get a new phone. So it was just one of those like, I didn't need that last week, So how did I had to make a choice of how I handle that stress. And it was difficult because I don't usually stress about things. So when something stressful happens, it sort of annoys me a bit. It's like, how do I do this? So I had to try and find a way that I just let that go. I dropped it into one of those phone repair places, Pakistani guys up the street, and to fix it for me, and then just let it go. And if they fixed it, they fixed it, and if they didn't, they didn't. I would just have to find that out. And if they didn't fix it, I would just have to find another way. So I had to come to that place in my mind so that I actually relaxed and didn't stress about not having my work phone. Because straight away in my head was, oh my God, if somebody messages you, you're not going to get a message. Well, I wasn't able to think of a proper solution in that. My other phone is the same network. It took me 2 days to work out I can just switch the SIM. Yeah? So this completely showed me last week that my window of tolerance was really wobbly when it came to phones. It just vanished for me. I had no ability to think outside of that and find a solution that actually worked perfectly fine until I got my phone back. But it took me 2 days to come to that. 2 days to have enough space where I just said, if they fix it, they fix it. I was just tired of it at that stage. And it was only then I was able to let it go. Straight away the solution, Emer, just put the other SIM in your other phone.